Part 25. Oreki Houtarou's Strength First Classroom. Author, Yu Yet. Chapter 241. Because Houtarou will be in trouble. However, you have to pay more attention. After all, Houtarou's body is not completely injured, so Houtarou is still capable of fighting. But, looking at it now, Houtarou really can't do it. What Houtarou can come in handy for is the three-legged male and female players recommended for the game. In the recommended event, the number of people who can participate in the mixed male and female two-person trip is limited to 10 people. In other words, a class can complete the recommended items 5 times for 2 persons and 3 legs of mixed men and women. It can open up a score close to 200-300 points. And now, as long as you pass the 2-person and 3-legged recommended items that can be used to get points by using bugs, then even if Houtarou comes back later, it will be useless. This time in the sports festival, Class C is at the bottom. Snort. The next group. At this time, the referee was also calling the roll. This is a broken school. Long Yuan found that the exam items were indeed a little too rushed. So I hurried over to report it. While Oreki-san and the others were doing the 2-person 3-legged match, there were some adjustments to the girls' team's schedule. Although men and women are separated for 4-way tug-of-war and horseback riding, both require use of the battlefield. So the girls' 200-meter event was moved forward. It seems that the situation on the boys' side is not good, Kushida said while standing in the girls' line waiting to set off. In the 200-meter competition list, she was placed in the 3rd group, while Horikita was in the 4th group. Now the girls in the 1st group are taking the exam. They need to wait a bit. And Kushida Horikita said. Probably Horikita-san simply responded without any expression. Kushida. Oh. It seemed that Kushida-san was not in a good mood as he felt a hot face pressed against a cold butt. However, we always run into the seeded players from Class D, and we can only be suppressed in the rankings, Kushida-san added. Among the members of the 3rd group she was assigned to was racing with Ibuki from Class D. And Ibuki's speed is not slow. Then she felt that she probably couldn't outrun Ibuki. And Horikita-san, you are also with Kinoshita and Yahima-san from Class D this time. I always feel uneasy, Kushida said. Maybe Horikita Suzun said. Kushida. I always felt that even if Horikita Suzun became friends with her, they would still end up being so cold. So. Goodbye Horikita-san. Kushida-san smiled brightly and cutely. The next group at this time, the referee's voice sounded. Kushida quickly had no choice but to take his place first. Kushida finished 2nd in the 200-meter race. Ibuki's speed was a little faster than hers. Although he was only in 2nd place, he was still very good, but Kushida did not leave immediately after finishing the race. Instead, he stopped at the finish line and looked forward. The exam time is very tight. So in less than 20 seconds, 8 girls from the 4th group came over. And Horikita Suzun is inside. Kushida-san stood aside and watched. As planned, Horikita Suzun was once again coerced by the 2 seed players of Class D, Kinoshita and Yahima. Kushida knew that although Horikita Suzun had great potential in terms of academic and physical abilities, she only had talent. If she didn't develop it or improve it further, she wouldn't be able to become a true elite. But Kinoshita and Yahima of Class D are genuine members of the track and field team. It seems that he started training when he was 10 years old. And he continued to train hard every day. So Horikita-san can't compare with her. Therefore, Horikita-san was naturally left far behind by Yahima, who came first. However, they were held back by Kinoshita, who was currently ranked 3rd. In the last 50 meters to sprint, Horikita Suzun may have been too concerned about the distance, so she looked at Kinoshita from time to catch up. Okay. Kushida, who was watching from a distance, was in a good mood. Because after looking back many times, When Horikita was about to sprint, an accident happened. Horikita and Kinoshita's legs accidentally got entangled, and they fell together. Horikita refused to admit defeat. Even after falling, she stood up on the track resolutely, and then managed to finish the whole race with her injured leg, finishing second from the bottom. Kinoshita from Class D seemed to be seriously injured and could not get up to continue the game and ended up in last place. "Is there nothing wrong with your feet?" Kushida, who had been waiting for a long time, asked with concern when he saw Horikita limping back to the rest area. Compared to this, Horikita said with a frown, "I can't stand that woman even more. She called my name several times during the competition." "I see, that's why you kept looking back during the game." Kushida-san nodded gently and said in a soothing voice. "Anyway, Horikita-san, take a rest first and I'll call the medical staff." Kushida-san then helped her aside thoughtfully. The doctor was quickly called and temporarily put a bandage on Horikita. She was no longer fit to compete, but after thinking about it, Horikita Suzune directly rejected the doctor's suggestion to abstain. Although she had no hope for Class C's sports festival, she even made a plan with Oreki-san. But Horikita Suzune didn't want to have the impact of abstaining from the class because of herself. Moreover, the next event is a horse riding battle. In the case of horseback riding, she plays the role of attacker in the entry list. In other words, it was the one who was held up. So you can participate even if you have an injured leg. So she decided to stick around. Then, Oreki-san completed the 200-meter race. All personal projects are finally completed. You can take a break. At the same time, the recommended project will not start until an hour later. So you can take advantage of this time to go eat or something. However, Oreki-san went around to the battlefield. Because the girls' game isn't quite over yet. They are now engaging in two-person threesome. However, Oreki-san looked around the first-year girls and found that two people were missing. One is Kushida Angel and the other is Horikita Suzune. Of course, it could also be that the two of them went to eat because the game was over. But before he came over, he also went back to the red group's camp. Katsuragi-san made a record, in which the girls in the red group lost in the battle on horseback. At the same time, in terms of record, it was slightly embarrassing that Kamuro-san, who had high hopes, was defeated very early. It seems that he was the first one to be brushed off during the girls' horseback riding fight. "You are really weak." After Oreki-san discovered that Kamuro-san was still there with the two of them, he walked over and said, "You can't watch at all when you're fighting on horseback." Kamuro-san. Kamuro probably didn't expect Oreki-san to come back, but she faced his statement with a straight face. "What can I do? I'm not good at attacking people. So it's normal to lose. If I were acting like a horse down there, maybe I wouldn't be defeated so easily," she said. "Oh. So what you are good at is dragging people up and acting as horses below, rather than standing on top and acting as a general commanding horses. In other words, you cannot seize the opportunity given to you to become a general." Oreki-san sighed inwardly. But if Kamuro-san is really that aggressive, it would make Oreki-san feel uncomfortable. So her performance makes people feel that this is indeed the case. After all, if he was really aggressive, he would not still be controlled by Sakayanagi-san 10 years later. I just said Sakayanagi-san. If Sakayanagi-san's health is better, then maybe he can participate in this kind of project. Because, on the one hand, fighting on horseback requires the horse below to fight steadily, but the person above is responsible for commanding. And he felt that Banlieu was quite suitable to be a conductor. By the way, what happened during the horse riding battle? Oreki-san was a little curious. He found that the morale of the girls in the class seemed to be somewhat depressed. In other words, what have you experienced? It's not because Horikita Suzune was injured and ended up playing injured, but the morale of the virgins in Class B and the girls in Class C suddenly increased. And Itchy Nose and the others also used 1 for 1, 2 for 1, and even 3-dimensional 1, which is impossible to avoid. So I can't beat him, Kamuro-san said. In other words, the white team is composed of Class B and Class C. Among them, the virgins of Class B, well, Itchy Nose and the others started to take action. Oreki Houtarou's Strength First Classroom. Author, Yet. Chapter 242. Indeed, Itchy Nose is an archangel, and the students in her class are also little angels. It's not wrong to describe it as the Holy Mother. And Itchy Nose and the others took action. In other words, it is found that the score value of the red-white confrontation continues to lengthen. The probability of the white team losing has become 99%. So in order to maintain the scores of their own class, Itchy Nose and the others. Itchy Nose is not good at sports, but she is very good at using her brain and maintaining the atmosphere. She probably found out that Horikita-san was injured and played, and then used this as an entry point to boost morale. At the same time, since Itchy Nose was not good at sports, he worked hard on tactics. It seems that Itchy Nose and the others are working hard. So Kamuro-san is the only one in class A who is really unreliable, especially since Kamuro-san is a strong person but a good guy at the same time. Wait a moment. Oreki-san suddenly discovered a blind spot. Horikita Suzun was injured. Pi Boss's book. He will be on the list tonight at 0 o'clock. If you like Chainsaw Man, don't miss it. Introduction. You traveled to the world of Chainsaw Man, gained double divine power at the beginning, and met the bomb weapon man Lise. In this world where demons are rampant, Baiyu uses his divine power to kill demons. Chapter 101 Kushita's Betrayal. Horikita Suzun, what I want is for you to drop out of school. Oreki-san discovered a blind spot. So Suzun Horikita was injured? Watching Oreki-san's expression, Kamuro-san quickly contributed what he knew. Specifically, it's the left leg. Kamuro-san said, it seems that he fell while running 200 meters. Because the red and white teams are fighting separately, I am from the red team and cannot get too close to her to get information, Kamuro said. But Kushida Kikyo has always been by her side to help. Profound. Injuries at sports events also happen. Like running too fast and falling down. So, Horikita has abstained now, Oreki-san said. Almost. She tried a two-person three-legged match, but unfortunately, she found she couldn't run, so she gave up. Kushida accompanied her to dinner, Kamuro said. As long as the girls finish the two-person three-kick, the individual competition will be over. So Horikita-san abstained from this project and can really rest first. Profound. Oreki-san nodded slightly. And it was Kushida who accompanied Horikita. So Horikita and Kushida have a pretty good relationship. But do you need to hit one number? Because after finishing his competition, Oreki went to Class A's base camp to retrieve his cell phone. Not a single message was received from above. At that time, Kushida did not report any news to him about Horikita-san's injuries. At the same time, Oreki-san knew that Kushida-san had betrayed Class C once again. But that was someone else's Class C, and he was from Class A, so he didn't care about spies in other classes. Rather, students in Class A were also working hard to plant spies in other classes. So wouldn't the more spies in other classes, the better? So Oreki-san is very tolerant. Only. The last time Horikita Suzun was acting stupidly, Kushida would tell him the conflict between Horikita and Onodera as a friend would. And now, why don't you say anything about Horikita Suzun's injury? This doesn't make sense. In other words, Kushida-san probably has an idea. Certainly. We can't completely deny Kushida. Although Kushida doesn't like Horikita, he is still trying to maintain a relationship with him as a friend. Then, Oreki held his phone and clicked on Kushida's friend. Be prepared to send a message to the other party. But you are not the other party's friend yet and cannot send messages. A prompt appears on the screen. Oreki. It's very true, Kushida-chan. Oreki-san was blocked by Kushida again. At the same time, he clicked on Horikita's address book and made a call. Only. Did he? The phone was not connected. However, by clicking on the GPS system, you can confirm that Horikita's phone is on and not moving at the same time. After confirming this, Oreki-san turned around and said, "It seems that I have to ask you to help me prepare food today. I have to go and be busy." Kamuro Maesumi is still by his side. So, after arranging Kamuro-san to prepare meals, Oreki-san found Sakura Eri. Kushida-san blocked him once, when he wanted to betray the class. Then he caught him. What she said at the time was that she was worried about being discovered by him. So I blocked him first and then pulled him back after the matter was settled. The purpose is not to reveal his whereabouts. And now, he's blocked again. Explain that this is something you have to do that you cannot tell him. In other words, Kushida-san is probably still like that, becoming friends with Horikita-san, and then his goal is, to expel Horikita-Susan from school. Therefore, Horikita-san's injury may not be that simple now. Maybe it has something to do with the arrangements at Longyuan. And Kushida also participated. With this in mind, Oreki-san is planning to find someone who is Kushida's best friend. And the other party is still very close. Resting on the side. And this person is Sakura Eri. Eri's two-legged pair is with Hospi Haruka. Neither of them was good at sports, but probably because they were well matched, they finished fourth together. At this point, it seems to be a bit lucky. But Sakura also worked hard. After the group ended, Hospi was called away by other girls while she was still resting next to the lawn. While sitting like this, Sakura noticed someone walking over. "You performed very well just now," Oreki-san said. "Congratulations, fourth place." Have you seen me, Oreki-san?" Sakura-san seemed a little happy, but also a little depressed. But Horikita-san was injured, so she gave up on the two-person three-legged match. And Horikita-san was taken to dinner by Kushida-san. Profound. Sakura-kun, don't you know this very well? But Oreki-san didn't come to see Horikita. Also, Kuruzawa-san and Shinohara-san also went to the cafeteria first and are not here, Eri then added. Oreki-san didn't come to see Kuruzawa either. "Sakura, can you lend me your phone?" Oreki-san said directly. "Well, yes, it's okay. Oreki had borrowed a spare machine from her before on the ship, so he was already familiar with it. "I want to find someone," Oreki-san said. Profound. Why would she need to use her phone to find someone else? But Eri still handed over the phone. Because he was using Sakura's mobile phone, Oreki took Sakura with him, but following the GPS guidance, Oreki checked again. He has Horikita Suzun's cell phone as a friend, so he can directly see Horikita's cell phone in an area J outside the cafeteria. When he clicked on the GPS of Sakura's phone, he found that the location of Kushida's phone was also in an area J outside the cafeteria. The two areas appear to overlap. This is. Sakura-san discovered Oreki-san leading her to the bushes outside the cafeteria. No one else is here. But Sakura was then surprised to find that Oreki-san expressionlessly took out two white student mobile phones from the bushes, and then a voice recorder. Kushida-san's cell phone. Then Horikita-san's cell phone. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Oreki Houtarou's Strength First Classroom. Author, Yu Yet. Chapter 243. Why are both of their cell phones here? Sakura said. Oreki-san used her mobile phone to locate the location. This process was not hidden from her, so she also saw that Oreki used her mobile phone's GPS to locate Kushida, while Oreki-san's own mobile phone located Horikita Suzune. Result: Kushida-san and Horikita-san were nowhere to be seen, but their cell phones were all here. And Oreki-san clicked on the black recording pen. The recorded voice came out. Everyone is in position, the fourth team is ready to start. This may be the referee's voice. Horikita-san. Horikita-kun. This was the voice of an unknown girl. It seemed like Horikita-san was moaning. Horikita-san, is there nothing wrong with your feet? This was the familiar voice of Kushida-san. Compared to this, I couldn't stand that woman even more. She called my name several times during the competition. Horikita's voice sounded. I see, that's why you keep looking back during the game. Anyway, Horikita-san, take a rest first and I'll call the medical staff. It seems that this recorder recorded the process of Horikita's injury. This is although Sakura-san is relatively simple, but through this recording pen, she seems to understand a little bit. Horikita-san's injury seems to be hidden. Someone kept shouting her name during the game, which eventually led to the injury. Everyone knew that Horikita-san was injured, and when he went to fight on horseback, his morale even soared. Even Sakura herself joined in. Although her team sent it quickly, in the end their white team's BC Girls League 1 scored. Everyone is in a good mood. The result is this. It's just that Horikita-san and Kushida-san's mobile phones are here, so where are they now? Sakura couldn't help but ask. Because Horikita-san's injuries were framed by others. So, where are Horikita and the others now? Where? And isn't this very simple? Oreki-san locates Ryu and shows friend who he got after taking the preferential treatment test on the ship. The location of Long Yuan was determined 10 minutes ago. After the two were unable to play with 3 kicks, after Kushida's project ended, Horikita Suzune chose to abstain. Because Onodera continues to be with her, she can no longer run away, so Onodera will only be harmed and he will be at the bottom. However, Onodera can also apply to the referee to form a team with others. So, after waiting for Kushida's 2-person 3-legged project to end, Kushida accompanied Horikita-san to the cafeteria. You take a rest here first. Your feet are not very good at moving. Kushida-san seemed to be trying to win her favor. I'm going to get food. So she was placed. Ringtone admitted. She doesn't like Kushida, and she's not stupid enough to think that Kushida hates her too, so Kushida would probably feel awkward showing kindness to her. Only. She also didn't deny that Kushida was fair to all his friends. And there are basically no bad reviews about her. No matter who she is, she would think that Kushida is a good person. So after being arranged like this, she had to sit in the booth first. At this point in time, all the boys' projects have been completed. So most of the people in the cafeteria are boys. However, after observing for a week, it was a pity that she even saw the ghost in Oreki's class, but she did not find Houtarou Oreki. Only. Before the meal was completely ready, Horikita saw Kushida walking in a queue from the front in a hurry. Horikita-san is not well, Kushida said quickly. I received a message from Chibashira-sensei. Let's go to the health room quickly. It was said that you were reported by Kinoshita-san from Class D. What the hell? Report. It seems that Kinoshita-san was seriously injured, and I think you did it on purpose. Then she said that if we mediate now, if we can't keep it private, then she will report it to the student union, Kushida said. Horikita Suzune. That's it? At first, I thought I was wronged, but now Horikita-san has come to his senses. You may have been fooled. That is, Oreki Houtarou had predicted the injury this time. Ryuan was not only targeting the sacrifice Tsuyu, he might even have listed her as a target. And The normal behavior is to report the injury directly to the referee or apply to the student union, rather than leaving it private once. That is to say, Long Yuan wanted to squeeze points from her before that. The number of points she has on hand is indeed as high as 5 million. Ryuan and the others are probably left with more than 9 million by Oreki-san, and they are also ambitious about the points in hand of everyone in Class C. Among them, she is the richest person in Class C. So it makes sense to want to target her. And this moment. Don't forget, you are now a little rich woman in the eyes of other students. And Long Yuan is short of money. Moreover, the students in Class C now handed over 4 million because they did not want to fall into the bottom 10 list. If Ryuan wants to attack Class C, the points he can squeeze out will shrink, so I think he probably wants to cheat a little bit from you. So I asked you to bring a voice recorder. Think of it as protecting yourself. What Oreki-san told her appeared in her mind. At the same time, she was not stupid enough to remember that after she separated from Oreki Houtarou, she put the voice recorder in her pocket. That is to say, Ryuan is indeed a nasty guy. I really treat her as a soft persimmon. Now, even if Ryuan wanted to blackmail her, the recorder she put in her pocket was enough to restore the situation at that time. Yes. That's it? Think so. So Horikita-san followed Kushida to the health room. She also wanted to show her brother and Oreki-san that she had made progress. Health room. When she was injured for the first time, Kushida went to the health center teacher to help her and bandage her injured leg. The healthcare practitioner at the time advised her to abstain and rest in the healthcare unit. But she thought she could still hold on and participate in horseback riding. So I refused. And over there at Kinoshita, when Horikita fell down on the 200-meter track, he endured the pain and finished the race. However, Kinoshita didn't get up after falling together. But now that it has been confirmed that Ryuan wants to blackmail, it can be basically concluded that Kinoshita is probably going to perjury. So the grown-up Horikita Suzun wanted to see what else Ryuan could do. However, when we arrived at the health room, Horikita-san discovered that her homeroom teacher, Mr. Chibashira, was also there. And in Class D, Kinoshita was lying on a bed covered with a quilt, moaning vaguely in pain. Chibashira said when he saw Horikita approaching. Horikita, I think you need to explain the situation. Kinoshita said that you knocked her down. And before knocking her down, you said something that would never let her win. So is this really a drama? He framed her as the perpetrator and then wanted her to compensate, right? You want to rob her of the 5 million she has on hand, right? Horikita. Is that really what she said? Horikita Suzun said in a very calm manner. Yet Chibashira noticed that Horikita Suzun seemed to be too calm, so he continued. By reviewing the video, it turns out that you did turn around 3 times during the game to confirm Kinoshita's position. According to Kinoshita's accusation, you were confirming her position in preparation for deliberately knocking her down. And she got a hard kick from you on her calf. In fact, Chibashira also had doubts about his own words. That was Kinoshita's theory that Horikita kicked her. And would Horikita Suzun do such a thing? Obviously not. Otherwise, Chibashira would not have fantasized about letting Horikita Suzun fly up to Class B with Class D. She can confirm that Horikita's character is not in question. But they had also encountered mutual frame UPS between these classes in the past when they were in this school. Oreki Houtarou's Strength First Classroom. Author, Yu Yet. Chapter 244. And knowing is knowing, but these are her personal emotions. As a faculty member, she needs to assume the position of a tool person. At the same time, we also consider that students may encounter such unfair and false accusations in the future. So if you can solve it completely by yourself, it will increase your experience, which will be beneficial to the future. Because there are many more beautiful societies than this black one. So, Horikita, What would you do? Chibashira found that since becoming autistic, he seemed to be more able to integrate into the role of teacher. So Chibashira continued. Not only that, she said that she would miss all the following games because of this. And the diagnosis just made by the health doctor shows that the injury to her calf is more serious than stated. It has been confirmed that someone deliberately caused the serious injury. At this point, Chibashira's expression became serious. Horikita, do you have any excuse? Justify. Isn't this all a false accusation? The people in Ryuan's class really violate the bottom line without hesitation. At this point in time, all the boys' projects are probably over, Horikita Suzun said. But Horikita Suzun said to Kushida. Well. This made Kushida involuntarily touch the end of his hair with his left hand. This is a sign of her thinking and hesitation. Because Horikita Suzun's reaction was very strange. Isn't something happening on your side now? Why worry about that? Shouldn't you defend yourself? Shouldn't I take out that so-called recording pen to prove my innocence? Ah. Kushida understood. Horikita Suzun must be trying to contact Oreki Houtarou. Indeed. Oreki Houtarou is a poisonous guy with unlimited creativity. And Horikita was in trouble, so she wanted to contact him. Do you rely on men when something goes wrong? Horikita Suzun, you are such a person. Kushida updated his understanding of Horikita Suzun. At the same time, she was also a little irritable. Because this time she conspired with Ryuan again and then hid it from Oreki Houtarou. If Oreki finds out and stops her, she will take the pill. But she still said hypocritically. The boy's project is over, and do you want me to contact him now? Although it is not pointed out who he is. But Kushida knows that Horikita also knows. No need, Horikita Suzun said. I can handle the current situation. I'm just wondering if it will delay him. Since the mandatory events for boys are over, there's no need to worry. Oh. Then you are great. Thinking of this, Kushida breathed a sigh of relief, as long as that guy Oreki didn't come out. She had a feeling that as long as Oreki Houtarou came over, no matter what plan he set up, he could handle it. That was too much ordeal. Horikita, your attitude is unacceptable at this time, a man's voice came from outside the door of the health room. Then the other party walked in directly. This is Ryuan with red hair parted in the middle. And almost hearing this voice, Kushida seemed to feel relieved. Are you sure I framed you? Ryuan walked directly to Kinoshita-san's bed and lifted the quilt. In an instant, Kinoshita-san, who had been holding back the pain and moaning faintly, finally couldn't help crying. Because after the quilt was lifted, what was revealed to everyone was a very serious injury. The ankle of Kinoshita's right calf was bandaged, and there was a large bruise. It looked a bit scary, but it was indeed very painful. And this is a real injury. Horikita, your class worked so hard this time, but you still wanted to go astray and injure a general of our class. It's really abominable, Ryuan said at this time. Because my speed is not as good as Kinoshita's, I was suppressed by Kinoshita in the 100 meters and hurdles. Then we choose a one-for-one method to get rid of the elite of our class in this way. I don't approve of you. Ryuan said. So, I decided to report it to the student union and ask the student union to do justice. And this? Ryuan looked at Kinoshita. You think so too? Kinoshita seemed to be trying hard to hold back his tears. Horikita-san, not only did you hurt me maliciously, but you also didn't know how to repent at all. Ugh. I don't know if I'll be able to run again. Indeed. She is a member of the dedicated track and field club and has been training since she was in junior high school. But now, even if the injury is healed, there will be a period of vacuum, and he may not be able to run as fast. At the same time, judging from the testimonies compiled and the video taken, Horikita did look back several times, and then fell down with Kinoshita. Horikita insisted on finishing the run, but Kinoshita simply left the race and stopped moving. And this kind of direction means, Horikita is at a disadvantage. Chibashira. Chibashira stared at the scene and then looked at Horikita. She believed in Horikita's character, but she had to say that Ryuan's argument was also very clever. I directly gave Horikita a motive that Horikita was not as good as Kinoshita, and then wanted to change the crime. So the current situation is not good for Horikita. So Horikita, what will you do now? Is this all you want to say? Horikita Suzun said. First of all, I didn't hurt Kinoshita. On the contrary, during the 200-meter race, Kinoshita ran behind me and kept calling my name. I turned around because my name was called. And this. Horikita Suzun looked at Kushida Kikyo. Kushida can testify. Then, everyone turned their attention to Kushida. Yes, Kushida-san nodded. That's what Horikita-san said to me, but I was at the finish line and couldn't hear their voices. I could only see Horikita-san turning back several times. Horikita. Kushida was right when he said that. Kushida was indeed at the finish line at that time. Moreover, she and Kinoshita fell 50 meters away from the finish line, so it was normal that Kushida didn't hear Kinoshita's voice. So he cannot be a complete witness. It would be better to say that this argument would be beneficial to Kinoshita's frame-up. Because turning back can be regarded as confirming the opponent's position and then deliberately injuring the opponent. However, I always felt that there was something wrong with the way Kushida looked at her. Then. But I think Horikita-san didn't mean it. Ryuan-san, please don't report it to the student union. If you are found guilty of violently assaulting someone, all the points earned by Horikita-san will be invalid, and even your reputation will be completely wiped out. I don't want to see anything like this. Ryuan-san, is there no other solution? Kushida said. For example, using points to make up for it or something. Upon hearing this, Horikita Suzun looked over in astonishment. Because Kushida, what nonsense are you talking about? This statement almost confirmed that it was her fault and that she deliberately hurt Kinoshita. Kushida. Aren't you a friend? Although he knew that Kushida hated her, Horikita never expected that Kushida would betray her at this time. There are plans, Long Yuan said. 400000. As long as 4 million compensation is given to Kinoshita in my class. After all, with her injuries like this, her future career as an athlete may end here. And because of her absence, my class will get a lot less points in this sports festival. And you have to bear all of this, Horikita. Ryuan borrowed the donkey on the spot, but he actually felt that something was wrong with Horikita Suzun's state, as she seemed to be too calm. But he glanced over to Kinoshita. Woo dash. I still want to keep running. And Kinoshita-san also quickly continued to cry. Seems quite pitiful. Horikita. Horikita. Horikita, what do you think? Teacher Chibashira asked. If you can't mediate it here, then if something like this happens, you need to report it to the student union. In other words, did Chibashira-sensei suggest that she deal with this matter here immediately? Horikita Suzun took a breath. Although I have always been worried about the fact that I was assigned to Class D, and I even thought it was a mistake. But if you want to frame me like this, you think I'm too weak. Oreki Houtarou's Strength First Classroom. Author, Yu Yet. Chapter 245. And Kushida. Horikita glanced in the direction of Kushida-san. What's wrong with me? Let's break up our relationship now, Horikita Suzun said. Kushida. Day. You were the one who said we would make friends, but now you are the one who immediately breaks off the friendship? But. Kushida probably knows what Horikita relies on. So he immediately showed a pitiful expression and said. Horikita-san is going too far. Am I not helping you? If you really want to help me, forget it, Horikita-suzun said. And teacher, I don't want to continue to be entangled with Ryuan and the others. Kushida cannot be my witness, and I want you, Chibashira-sensei, to be my witness. Oh, Chazu looked over. And Suzun went on to say. I hope to apply to the student union and report that Ryuan from Class D and Kinoshita from Class D made false accusations against me. And Kinoshita-san, you think I hurt you, right? Well. Seeing Horikita-suzun's calm look, Kinoshita quickly looked at Ryuan. Hey Horikita, it's not okay to threaten our athletes. I just want Kinoshita's confession, Horikita said. Because I always carry a recorder in my hand, and I put it in my pocket during the competition, and it is always on. So what Kinoshita said I said to her will never let her win. The words did not exist. I think what was recorded in the recorder was that Kinoshita kept calling my name. So this evidence is enough to prove my innocence and Kinoshita's frame up. So. Horikita-suzun looked at Kinoshita-san. Now, Kinoshita-san, are you still insisting that I hurt you on purpose? If the false accusation is established, then you may have to face the punishment of dropping out of school. I don't think the school will allow such a despicable student to continue studying, Horikita said calmly. However, each word is so clear, but it gives people a strong sense of oppression. This. Kinoshita-san originally continued to cry, but when she heard this, she looked at Ryuan at a loss. Long Yuan. Sure enough that's the case. Horikita-suzun knows how to hold a damn recorder, and it's probably Houtarou Oreki who defended Horikita-suzun. And this is probably the reason why Horikita-suzun is so calm now. But this gave him a bad feeling. Because in this sports festival, Oreki Houtarou seemed to be fishing and had nothing to do. And now Oreki has prepared a voice recorder for Horikita-suzun to defend herself, isn't it because she has figured out what he wants to do again? So. At this moment, Long Yuan was not in a good mood. Because the plan of squeezing Horikita's points didn't feel good anymore. I even think, he's a bit dangerous. But. After Ryuan noticed what Horikita-suzun said, Kushida kept a smile on his face. Smile. Think so. He saw Kushida secretly giving him an okay gesture. That is to say. The matter of Horikita carrying a voice recorder with her, did she solve it on her own? Ryuan kept his expression. That sounds nice. First of all, recording pens are not easy to apply for. Teacher Chibashira, has anyone in your class applied for a recording pen? Ryuan said. Well, not really, Chibashira said hesitantly. At the same time, she also reacted. There was a flaw in Horikita's rhetoric. Because the voice recorder is considered a dangerous item and needs to be registered, students cannot get it easily. So maybe she was just trying to justify herself by saying that she carried a voice recorder with her and could prove her innocence. Then it was cracked. But Horikita-suzun shook her head slightly. It seems you don't understand at all. As she said this, she put her hand into her left pants pocket. It seemed like he was about to take out the recorder. Chibashira also looked over. In other words, everyone looked over. Kushida-san, on the other hand, remained cute. But Horikita's expression also changed in front of everyone. From calm to calm, from straight-faced to straight-faced, and then, he seemed a little anxious. And Ryuan and Kushida looked at each other. Ryuan understands. Really? Kushida discovered that Horikita had a voice recorder on him, so he must have dealt with it first. And if the recorder is not there, then Horikita cannot prove his innocence at all. Therefore, victory still belongs to their side. My voice recorder. And the phone isn't there either. After about 7 or 8 attempts, Horikita-suzun finally discovered something was wrong. But this rhetoric is a bit fierce. Because Kushida seemed to have thrown away not only Horikita's voice recorder, but also Horikita Suzun's mobile phone. And Chibashira also understood that Horikita was not using a voice recorder to defend herself, but that she really had a voice recorder. As a result, the recorder can't be found now. Then it's really a bad move. It seems that what you said just now is just your quibble. Long Yuan felt relieved. He said, your attitude is not correct. So I have to add another condition. Kneel down and kowtow. Stop, Ryuan, this is too much. Chibashira couldn't stand it any longer, so he stepped in to stop him. Leave me alone, however, Ryuan, completely ignoring his identity as Chibashira-sensei, said unceremoniously. This is an issue among our students. Horikita, please make a decision. I will only give you 3 minutes to think. If you don't make a decision in 3 minutes, then I will immediately appeal to the student union to apply for arbitration. Now the whole school will know that you are a person who maliciously does things because you can't compare with others, people who hurt others. Although he felt that he was being targeted by Oreki Houtarou, being able to collect points from Horikita now gave him a sense of security. And according to what Kushida said, even if he received money, he would let Kinoshita publicize Horikita's deeds and ruin Horikita's reputation first. Kushida, Horikita Suzun looked at Kushida Kikyo. Because on the way to the health room, the voice recorder was always on me. And if the recorder is lost, then maybe it was lost accidentally. Just go back and look for it. But now the phone is gone too. During this process, Kushida was the one who supported her. So Kushida is also the one who is most suitable to do things. What did I do? Kushida-san looked pitiful and aggrieved. Horikita. She was convinced. Sure enough, if you casually believe in others, you will be the one who suffers. And Oreki Houtarou gave her a weapon for self-protection, but she couldn't defend it at all. Really? She is a loser. That. And just when Horikita Suzun was moving towards Horikita's sister, a slightly timid voice sounded. That's a voice that's not very good at connecting with people. The other party was standing at the door of the health room. Knocking on the door. Is Chibashira-sensei here? I found out from the GPS positioning that you are here, Mr. Chibashira. This man spotted Chibashira and walked in directly. Then. She seemed a little surprised that there were other people around, but she still walked over to Chibashira. She was holding something in her hands. I picked up 2 cell phones and a voice recorder from our class on the grass next to the cafeteria. It seems to be the mobile phones of Horikita-san and Kushida-san. Ah! Kushida-san, and Horikita-san, you are all here. This is your cell phone. So Sakura returned Kushida and Horikita's mobile phones to their original owners. Then this is the recorder, Sakura said timidly. The recorder was held by Chibashira, and Horikita Suzun went to take it. Kushida. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Oreki Houtarou's Strength First Classroom. Author, Yu Yet. Chapter 246. Long Yuan. Grass. P.S. I'm still short of 50 monthly votes and I'm already sold out. Woohoo, please protect me. Chapter 102. Long Yuan, you have been arranged long ago. Horikita took the black recorder handed over by Sakura-san. Thank you Sakura-san, Horikita Suzun said to Sakura. Horikita has 2 people she can talk to in Class C, one is Sakura-san and the other is Kushida-san. In order to obtain points, Kushida's power was needed before, so he and Kushida became friends first. But now, this friend has been deleted. But Sakura-san is very reliable. Ryuan. Horikita Suzun took the recorder and looked at Ryuan. Show, what were you just talking about? You want to apply for arbitration from the student union, and then you also want to kowtow. Long Yuan. Grass. Almost as soon as Horikita Suzun said this, Ryuan realized that everyone in the room was looking at him. Chibashira-sensei seemed to be holding back a laugh. And Kinoshita showed a pitiful expression. As for Kusita was expressionless. Because he can probably understand the other person's mood. She probably threw away her voice recorder and mobile phone while Horikita Suzun was not paying attention, and what's even more amazing was that she also lost her own mobile phone. This way you can avoid being disturbed by others. Result. Both the mobile phone and the voice recorder were found. Then he handed it over. She was indeed in a bad mood. But the current Long Yuan is even worse. Kusita lost the trust of Horikita Suzun at most, but on his side, he made false accusations and then wanted to kowtow. Now I only have more than 3 million and close to 4 million points in my hand. We withdraw the lawsuit, Long Yuan said. Then I will apply to the student union to arbitrate your false accusation, Horikita said. And Chibashira-sensei, can you be my witness? Okay, Chibashira nodded. Chibashira-sae took out her mobile phone. Only then did everyone realize that it was actually recording, and the recording time was still very long. More than 10 minutes had passed. In other words, it seems that the recording started when Horikita Suzun entered the health room. And this recording is enough to characterize him as a false accusation. Grass. Is this the teacher? Long Yuan felt that just scolding the other party was a failure. How could the head teacher in this school be so simple? That is to say. Now it's not just certification, but Chibashira has also provided physical evidence. Plus the recording pen in Horikita Suzun's hand. If it is really submitted to the student union, he will not only have to pay compensation, he may be expelled from school. Because there was a record of fighting with Houtarou and the others before. So he will be regarded as a habitual offender. Then the punishment will be more severe. Even if he doesn't drop out of school, his class evaluation score will be deducted repeatedly. Consider this. Haha, Long Yuan seemed to laugh at himself. 2 million. Ryuan said. I can compensate you 2 million. This is really a cycle of feng shui. Just now, Ryuan asked Horikita Suzun to compensate him 4 million, but now he has to subsidize 2 million. No, but Horikita Suzun immediately refused. I refuse, Horikita said. I'm not an overbearing person, but being bullied like this and doing nothing is not my style. So, Long Yuan, 4 million, plus a kowtow. This is the price I pay for not reporting your false accusations. And Horikita-san glanced at Kinoshita-san. Kinoshita-san quickly lowered his head and hugged his feet, showing a pitiful look. But in front of her were the 3 Manabe-san who could fight without changing their expressions. No, it was Horikita-san who beat all 4 of them. Kinoshita-kun, now you are suspected of intentional harm to me. And the losses after I abstained. So, you also need to compensate, Horikita said emotionally. Ugh, I don't have money dash. Ryuan, Kinoshita-san quickly looked at Ryuan. Didn't you say that you are responsible for everything? Yes. When Ryuan arranged for Kinoshita to plan Horikita Suzun, he said that if anything happened, he would be responsible. At the same time, Kinoshita will be given 500,000 points. But now it's 4 million. 3 million, Long Yuan said. One price. I will drop the charges against you and at the same time give you 3 million yuan in mental damages. Then the matter ended like this, Ryuan said. 3 million. But Horikita Suzun didn't respond immediately. Sakura-san was confused, but the atmosphere seemed to be heavier now, so she stood aside quietly. And Chibashira felt relieved. In fact, I think Horikita is very lucky. He actually recovered his voice recorder and turned around. How crazy Long Yuan was just now he is so cowardly. We still need 4 million points, Horikita Suzun said. Not only is the share given to me, but Chibashira-sensei also needs hush money. The total is 4 million points. Oh. Chibashira looked over. So she also has a share? Chibashira retracted his previous evaluation of Horikita Suzune. Horikita had really changed and started to become more considerate. It's impossible to get 4 million, Long Yuan said. I only have more than 3.6 million on hand now. There is no 4 million, Ryuan said. Then go and collect it, Horikita Suzune said. Didn't the students in your class still have 8.5 million left in the preferential treatment test? Ryuan's class received a total of 17 million from the school in the preferential candidate examination. Half of it was divided up by Oreki Houtarou. But Ryuan himself used the excuse that everyone had received points, and then plundered 4 million. Then the students in the class do still have some points left. So if you want to search, you can still search. But what Horikita Suzune said is terrifying. Because it's like, he doesn't treat the students in his class as human beings, but as ATM machines. In other words, she has been targeting them from the beginning. Long Yuan. Day. So what he is doing now is not only predicted, but also treated as points extraction. Is that really the case? It seems I made a mistake, Long Yuan said. I thought this was the battle that would make me stand up, but it turned out that I was completely plotted. 4 million, I will give it to you after I collect it all, Long Yuan said. No, but Horikita Suzune refused. Now. Long Yuan. Day. 3.67 million has been credited to your account. Transfer to Fang Longjai Yuangxiang. Long Yuan swiped his phone. That's all the points he has in his account. But this move also means that Long Yuan chose to use points to settle the matter. But there was another person at the scene who was the worst. Long Yuan. Kinoshita-san was still in bed, but was crying. Yes. She is the worst person. Because she was injured at the same time as Horikita Suzune, but later in order to gain sympathy points and falsely accuse her, her injuries were not serious at first, but she deliberately fell again in order to falsely accuse Horikita Suzune. Result. Not only was he seriously injured, but now he had to pay for it. Oreki Houtarou's Strength First Classroom. Author, Yu Yet. Chapter 247. But Long Yuan can no longer control her so much. The points I want to transfer to you will still be given to you, Long Yuan said. You should take good care of your injuries. One failure is nothing, Long Yuan said. In other words, even if the strategy fails, Long Yuan still wants to win people's hearts. In other words, he still wants to fight again. Chibashira noticed this scene. When the teachers of the 4 classes get together, they will say that the students in this class are different from the previous classes. Chibashira thought so too. Class A is too outstanding, and Class B is like little angels. Among them, Class C, which is not very popular, has also been integrated quite well. Then there is Class D. Well, there are some defective products and problem children, but it is undeniable that the quality of some students is worse than in previous classes. So this class of students is very unique. The chairman often said that he looked forward to their development. As for Long Yuan, although his methods are very dark, it is undeniable that this person is still very calculating, and in the future, he may become a very powerful person in society. But, are you Ryuan Sho, Sakura-san, who had given her a mobile phone, suddenly said timidly. Do what? Long Yuan looked over. He didn't know Sakura, or he really hated the girl in front of him. If she hadn't picked up Horikita's cell phone and voice recorder, he wouldn't have lost so miserably. I'm coming from the teaching building, Sakura-san said. Class A, the head teacher of Class A wants you to go. Long Yuan looked over in confusion. Because he has nothing to do with the class teacher of Class A, or he doesn't know him at all. Chibashiro looked at his phone at this time. It seems that something happened that made me laugh. But he tried to keep a straight face. Ryuan, go to the first floor of the physics teaching building, Chibashiro said. Teacher Mashima from class A is here to question you. Students in his class, report you for violating the rules in the reverse pole competition. If the dispute cannot be mediated, it will be reported to the student union for arbitration. And you may face the penalty of dropping out of school. Long Yuan. Ryuan's eyes widened at this moment. Because at this time, he finally understood why Horikita Suzun carried a voice recorder with her. At the same time, he also understood why Horikita Suzun asked his class to raise the points when he knew he couldn't get them together. Because Oreki Houtarou had the same plan. Probably, I was waiting for him to break the rules from the beginning, and then blackmailed him. Then not only will all the points in your hand be lost, but even the points of everyone in the class will be stripped away. What a disgusting school. So, Ryuan went to the science laboratory in disgust. Because if he hadn't anticipated the mistake. He checked his phone. Just now, in order to overcome Horikita Suzun's defense, his cell phone was kept in Do Not Disturb mode. As a result, there are now so many calls coming in. That must be the case. Ryuan show from Class D. Ryuan came to the science laboratory. And there are many students in the laboratory. And it's a familiar face. There was Ishizaki Daiichi, there was Albert, and there were the others from Komayama. Because what is waiting here is the students in the class, not others, but the other 19 boys in the class. Mr. Mashima, the homeroom teacher of Class A, is over there at the podium. So, since everyone is here now, Mashima-sensei said. The students in my class are now reporting you for violations in the inversion contest. Your actions have caused serious damage to Houtarou of Class C. Then the students in my class suggested that each of you need to make a compensation of 500,000 points. 500,000 per person. And now there are 20 people here, isn't that 10 million? Day. Isn't this just a lion opening his mouth? But he submitted this to me, Mashima-sensei said. Then everyone noticed that a black recording pen was in teacher Mashima's hand. That's what I was assigned to take off at the pole in the inversion game. There is a recording inside. I think the matter is quite serious, teacher Mashima said. Profound. That's the pole for the inversion game. The other boys in Class D seemed to have thought of something, and then they all looked at Ryuan with greatly changed expressions. First, if reported to the student union, you will face the penalty of having all your grades cancelled. The participating projects will be treated with 0 points. Then the bottom 10 places in the sports festival will be chosen among you. In the next written test, you will face a penalty of 10 points deducted for all subjects. I think this is a very troublesome thing, said Mr. Majima. And the trouble? This is not troublesome but scary, okay. Originally, most of the students in the class were poor academics, but if 10 points were deducted for each subject, it would be very easy to fail. And failure in this school means dropping out. So, this is the time when I am faced with the decision of whether to drop out of school or not. Ryuan noticed that after Mr. Majima said this, the other boys in the class, including Albert, were looking at him. Probably trying to get him to think of a solution. I want him to handle it. They think it is okay for a person to pay 500,000 yuan in compensation to avoid the crisis of dropping out of school. That's why I have been waiting for him to come. In other words, they have already made a decision. Long Yuan. He had already thought of these on the way here. I thought of this result. Just talk about how Oreki Houtarou could not participate at all. It should be said that everything he did was predicted by the other party. What about that guy Oreki Houtarou? Ryuan said. That guy set up such a big trap, but he wasn't there at all. I don't like hearing this kind of talk, Teacher Mashima said. It was you who carried out the illegal actions yourself. In fact, the correct thing to do is to submit it directly to the student union for processing if you discover the report. But this school puts strength first and points first. As long as you have points, enough points, you can buy anything. So even this kind of private negotiation can be bought. And Oreki? Teacher Mashima looked aside. Long Yuan also found a handsome guy with short black hair and dark green pupils standing at the door of the classroom. And this handsome guy looked over. Ryuan, you are looking for me now, Houtarou, Oreki said. The points collected by the students in your class are only around 6 million. So you are now short of more than 4 million. So you really want to borrow 4 million points from main, right? Oreki said. I can lend you the points. But you seem to have made harsh demands on Horikita-san. Horikita-san is more gentle, but I'm different, Oreki-san said. 1 kowtow can lend you 400,000 yuan, and 10 kowtows can lend you 4 million yuan. You have to know that there are not many people in this school who can lend you 4 million, and your class teacher can't borrow it either. So, Long Yuan, I want you to kneel down and kowtow 10 times. And when he spoke like this, Oreki-san was smiling. But in Ryuan's eyes, this smile was like a summons from the devil. Day. Are you asking him to kowtow as interest? Such a thing. Such a thing. Impossible, Long Yuan said. Absolutely impossible. Then I'll report it, Oreki-san said. For ordinary students in Class D, their sports festival scores will be cleared at most. But Ryuan, you are stubborn, framed, and ignore the rules. Oreki Houtarou's Strength First Classroom. Author, Yu Yet. Chapter 248. I don't think the student council will be so lenient on you as to just punish you by being among the bottom 10 in the sports festival. Instead, you will be expelled from school after the sports festival. So, goodbye Ryuan. Although I have only been studying for a short time, I like you quite a lot. From the wording of the sentence, it is quite remarkable. But no one got it wrong. At the same time, Ryuan knew very well that Oreki liked him to collect points. Is it similar to a tool player who collects points? Then, are you going to drain him dry and drop out of school? In the future, Oreki Houtarou may continue to be a student of Class A, and then graduate and have a bright future. And here he has to go to the construction site to move bricks? Such a shitty future. Remember Ryuan, it means kneeling and kowtow. Oreki-san's voice came. Teacher Mashima looked out the window and pretended not to hear. Dong dong dong. Kamuro-san looked at Oreki-san curiously. Oreki-san clicked on a recording on his phone. The sound of the recording is a bit like a percussion sound. It is like a percussion sound, and it has a sensual feel. It seems to be a punch to the flesh. It's nothing nice to hear, Oreki-san said. It's just the sound of Ryuan's kowtow. He always said that Houtarou was a coward, and now he is a coward. I thought he would just choose to leave the school. Oh. This is Long Yuan's kowtow sound. No wonder it's quite loud. Wait a moment. By the way, isn't this a big deal? Did you ask Long Yuan to kowtow? Hello. By the way, what were you playing while she went to get food? Then Horikita-san. And Kamuro-san asked. Oreki-san got busy after learning that Horikita Suzune was injured. However, now he is not with Horikita Suzune. She is probably finishing her own thing, Oreki-san said. After all, she is the victim this time and she has her own decision to deal with it. And then I'll finish. Oh. What do you mean by finishing it later? Kamuro-san was puzzled. But Horikita Suzune is indeed completing her own work now. Thank you for the recording this time, Mr. Chibashira watching Ryuan leave to be harvested by Oreki-san. Horikita-san also deducted 500,000 from the points that Ryuan compensated first and transferred them to Chibashira's account. I'm just doing business, Chibashira said. Then left here. Because she was not stupid enough to realize that Horikita Susan probably had something to say to Kushida now. Well, then, I'll leave first. Sakura-san, who is very good at detecting the atmosphere, also chose to leave. But when she was about to walk out of the health room. Thank you Sakura, Horikita Susan said suddenly. Sakura looked back at her and then left. Then we are the only two left now, Horikita Susan said. Kushida. You took my voice recorder and threw it at my cell phone. Then, we will also join forces with Ryuan. Kushida-san. Horikita Susan read each word one by one. The speech rate is very slow. But she stared at Kushida-san intently. You clearly say you want to be friends with me, but you hate me so much, and now you're betraying me. Kushida-san, do you have any explanation? Any explanation? Any explanation? Any explanation? Indeed. If you want to quibble, then it's still okay. But as Horikita Susan looked at her, the expression of the rather sweet Kushida-san began to change. It's more like a complete face change. That is. Really? The other party said. It's really painful to be in contact with you. Horikita Susan. There was a smile imprinted in Horikita's eyes, but it was an expression of sneer and ridicule. And this is the most real side of Kushida Kikyo. Or. It was cold, but Kushida was smiling again, and it was impossible to tell which one was her. Horikita. Horikita closed her eyes. There was nothing happy about her and Kushida, but it couldn't be said that they were not happy at all. It could be said that she was the kind of person who never had any friends, although Oreki-san would sometimes help Kushida with introductions. But she still has no interest in Kushida. But Horikita couldn't deny that she had truly received a lot of help from Kushida, including Kushida who helped her find medical staff after her recent injury. But trust often leads to betrayal. Facing this Kushida, her initial feeling was indeed right. Kushida doesn't like her, but he wants to have a good relationship with her. This is not just a prank or a joke, but something deeper and more profound. That was something Horikita had to say that she didn't think she needed to touch on or even mention. She is not interested in other people's affairs and will not interfere with them. But the reason why Kushida targeted her like this. Maybe she knew. That is. Horikita-san said expressionlessly, now, I remember that there were students like you, Kikyo Kushida, in my junior high school. Hee. Kushida smiled. But this laughter seemed to be very different. Sure enough, it's just as I thought. You know that? Yes, even if you are dedicated to studying and study for 10 hours a day, you know that. After all, I am a problem child in every aspect. And that incident also caused a big fuss. Kushida said, all the students in one class, including the teacher, went on strike for a month. Having such an experience, even if I come to this new place, I will be affected, and if this kind of thing is mentioned, then probably many people will be afraid of me. So, Horikita Suzuan, do you want to make this matter public? Kushida said. If I announce it, what will you do? Horikita said. Do I have any other options besides dropping out of school? You can indeed try to quibble, but Houtarou Oreki will definitely be on your side. Although I have a good image in school, I can't compare to Oreki and Ichino's. In other words, Kushida has actually considered the problems he would face if his dark history was revealed. Did you simply choose not to resist in the end? Yeah, Horikita nodded. Then I won't announce it? Kushida. What are you talking about? Kushida felt incredulous. Aren't you going to announce it? You already know, right? I not only betrayed you, but I was also a traitor to the class. I took the entry form for the sports festival and then revealed it to Ryuan. So now you want to learn from those holy ladies in Class B. Horikita. Indeed. Ichi-nose and the others were like archangels, helping Class C. It's true to use the Virgin Mary to describe it, but Horikita felt that this Virgin Mother seemed to have a derogatory connotation. But Horikita shook his head, I won't report you. On the contrary, Kushida-san, I will not tell anyone about your past. If you are just worried about this matter, please feel free to rest assured, because I am harmless to you. With that said, she walked towards Kushida, who was very close, and even extended her hand. Kushida-san, until I collect all 20 million points, can't you stop targeting me? Can't we not target her? And this means. Kushida looked at Horikita's extended hand. She got it? It turns out that Horikita is here to recruit people. This is impossible, Kushida Kikyo said, don't you understand yet? I can't feel at ease until you get out of this school. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Oreki Houtarou's Strength First Classroom. Author, Yet. Chapter 249. As for the so-called class traitor, your existence has harmed Class C. As long as you drop out of school, I promise to treat the class wholeheartedly. As long as you get out of here. Saying this, Kushida passed by Horikita without looking at Horikita's outstretched hand. Wait a minute, but Horikita stopped her. Since you rejected me, I can only publish this recording. This sentence caught Kushida's attention and even turned around. Because. What nonsense is Suzune Horikita talking about? I don't know much about your junior high school life, I just heard about it. So even if it's publicized, very few people will believe it. And even if Ichi-nose is entrusted, she doesn't seem like the kind of person who would spread bad things about her friends. But Horikita held the recorder that recorded Kinoshida's violation. I recorded the conversations we just had. Even if others don't believe me, they will probably believe your recorded voice and then know who you are. Such a person. So, if you don't cooperate, then Kushida-san, you will be finished now, Horikita Suzune said. Kushida. Kushida. Day. Kushida turned around and stared at Horikita Suzune seriously, but Horikita Suzune had an expressionless face. But Kushida already understood. Although Horikita was injured, this woman. He usually looks stupid and straight, but as expected, he and Oreki Houtarou are a real couple. They were all filthy. Chapter 103 Horikita, Oreki is waiting for you. Kushida, no, can I still sleep tonight? Kushida felt that Horikita Suzune and Oreki Houtarou were indeed from the same group. They all liked to take advantage of her and then threaten her. But this kind of move, she couldn't refuse. Oreki Houtarou knew her true nature, but Horikita Suzune not only knew it, but also recorded it and could announce it at any time. As for Oreki, she can also use beauty attacks. At the same time, she was not stupid enough to sense that Oreki didn't seem to hate her true side. So she felt comfortable saying some things to him. But Horikita Suzune is different. Kushida intuitively felt that if he refused here, then Horikita Suzune would immediately announce the recording. At the same time, these contents recorded by Horikita Suzune no longer need to consider her dark history. Once they are directly announced, they will probably be even more powerful than the dark history. Because black history is in the past, you can still embellish it a little or pretend to be pitiful. But what is being manipulated now is her true side. If everyone thinks, Kushida-san turns out to be this kind of person, then her Kushida empire will collapse immediately. Feeling quite bad, Kushida prepares to leave. She had to find a place to calm down her emotions, because this meant that not only was she unable to attack Horikita Suzune, but she also had to continue to please Horikita in order not to be exposed. This feels very bad. Wait a moment. But Horikita-san stopped her. Let's go have dinner together later, Horikita Suzune said. Now 20 minutes have passed, and there is an hour's break at noon, so I can continue to eat. There is nothing wrong with this. But Kushida looked at Horikita Suzune strangely. Do you still want me to be with you? Don't you hate me so much now? Kushida felt incredible again. Yes, I don't like you, Horikita Suzune said. But I received a message from Oreki-san. He said that we should go see him together after dinner. It's right at the old place, Ling-in said. Oh. That's it? Isn't this very bad? Kushida-san's expression was almost unbearable. She felt very terrible. Because Oreki told her that he had no romantic feelings for Horikita Suzune, but he would marry her in the future. In other words, she and Ryuuen's alliance hurt Horikita, so didn't they also hurt his future wife? So, she might be sending it this time. 15 minutes later, Suzune, Horikita and Kushida-san arrived at the old place, which is a quite secluded area of the school with a table and chairs for resting. And they quickly discovered Oreki-san. But Oreki-san seems to be in a pretty relaxed state. Because when I saw him, Oreki-san seemed to be lying on the table in his usual place and sleeping for a while. But his perception is very strong. When they arrived, their faces were already raised. You are here, Oreki-san said. Then let's do the math. In this sports meeting, I got 10 million points from Long Yuan. The current payment is 6 million, and then the debt is 4 million, which will be paid off in 4 months, Oreki-san said. At the same time, Mr. Majima was given 500,000 hush money. I got 3.67 million from Ryuuan, and there was still a difference of 330,000, but I gave Chibashira-sensei 500,000 as hush money, Horikita Suzune said. And just now, 330,000 has been replenished. It seems okay, Oreki-san nodded. Long Yuan class squeezes it clean. Kushida was stunned for a moment. Because Horikita and Oreki were calculating some strange bills. Maybe you don't know yet, Oreki-san said, probably noticing Kushida's expression. This sports meeting is actually aimed at extracting points from Long Yuan's class. But Ryuuan is very cunning, so he has to dig a hole. To be precise, the entry form for your class was directed by me, so that Long Yuan could take it seriously and break the rules. And the result is that Ryuuan really violated the rules, Oreki said. Then he can only pay. Kushida. So, is that really the case? Once again she was left out. At the same time. So, you knew I would betray you, Kushida said quickly. I should say including you. You are not the only betrayer of Class C. It is quite easy for Ryuuan to obtain the entry form, Oreki said. A few of the students in your class are also spies in my class. I also know your specific entry form. Oh. This is a small entry form for Class C, but actually ABD knows about it. This means that even if the class is promoted to Class C, the students in the class are still very unreliable. Because Kushida knew that he only leaked the form to Ryuuan, but not to Class A. But Oreki-san looked at Kushida. You actually got Horikita-san injured. Kushida, you violated the bottom line. Kushida. Kushida. She knew it. Now let's get into trouble. Kushida and Horikita Suzune came from the same school. Although it was not certain whether Horikita knew about her dark history, she felt it was necessary to deal with Horikita Suzune for the sake of her current life. That's why this situation arises. He wanted to design something to ruin Horikita-san's reputation, and then find another opportunity to expel her from school. However, it failed now. Then he was caught by Oreki Houtarou. There are 3 punishments, Oreki-san said. The next game Horikita will participate in is all abstentions, but there is another option, you replace her, and this is the price of your betrayal. If you agree, then nothing will happen to everyone. And what you get the points are hers. The next competition is a recommendation competition, Kushida said. If I want to replace her, I have to pay 100,000 points to replace her. Yes, Oreki-san nodded, so you have to pay these points. And this is your punishment. All personal projects in the morning were completed. And the afternoon is a recommended project. Respectively. Borrowing items competition. 11 tug of war in all directions. 12 mixed men and women, 2 persons and 3 legs. Grade 13 joint 1200 meter relay. Among them, Horikita was asked by Oreki to give up the mixed gender tripod. But Horikita still signed up to participate in the borrowed object race and tug of war. Finally, there is the 1200 meter relay race, and one spot replaces 100,000 points. Does that mean she has to pay 300,000? Kushida himself also participated in the borrowed object race and tug of war. Then, does this mean that she has to complete 2 borrowing races, 2 tug of wars, and then a 1200 meter relay without stopping? She herself is also in the 1200 meter relay, occupying the 5th battalion position. And Horikita Suzun is the 4th best. Regardless of whether she can change people after 1200 meters, she feels, it will be exhausting. So, what if I don't agree? Kushida looked back. Oreki Houtarou's Strength First Classroom. Author, Yet. Chapter 250. Then I will release the recording of the conversation between you and Horikita-san, Oreki-san said calmly. Kushida immediately looked at Horikita. I promised not to speak against you again, then that recording. I will not publish the conversation between you and me, Horikita Suzun said. Although she is unsmiling, Horikita Suzun's character really makes people think she can do what she says. So now Horikita Suzun will not announce her conversations with me, Kushida said. Are you sure? Oreki-san said. I didn't say that was the recording I was going to release. So what does that mean? Come here, Oreki-san said to Horikita Suzun. Then, with Kushida watching, Horikita-san limped up to Oreki-san. But Oreki-san hugged her. Oh no. No. It was his hand that reached into the right pocket of her sweatpants. Then he took out something. And this is a red voice recorder. The recorder is obviously in working condition. In other words, probably since it was put in, it has been recording ever since. Then we will record everything from Horikita Suzun's participation in the sports meet, after the 100-meter race, to her injury in the 200-meter race, to Ryuuen's provocation, to Kushida's true face being revealed, and up to now. Naturally, it also includes information about Kushida's true identity, betrayal of the class, etc. As soon as the information is revealed, she will be finished. This is. Kushida's expression finally changed. At this point, she could already guess that Oreki would definitely punish her, or even do something excessive. After all, that was his attitude towards Horikita Suzun. But the situation now is completely different. Because if Horikita Suzun was only given a voice recorder, it would mean that it was just for self-defense and was used to prevent Ryuen from taking action. But if there are 2, then this second voice recorder is not aimed at Long Yuan, but at her. This is insurance from the beginning, Oreki-san said. You are very attached to Horikita, so you can't do anything to protect yourself. And with the existence of the recorder, everything will become evidence after it happens. But this also means that Oreki had considered her possible betrayal from the beginning. And as long as she betrays, she will be caught. So, Is making such careful preparations a deliberate attempt to let Horikita Suzune control and acquire the weapons to control her, an unstable element? And the evidence is. This is. Horikita Suzune was also shocked. Perhaps he didn't expect that he actually had a voice recorder on him. In other words, Horikita Suzune didn't even expect that she was being specially protected. Ah. Ah. Kushida's mood at this moment was not beautiful. Therefore, Oreki Houtarou is completely based on the side of helping Horikita Suzune. She was completely helping Horikita Suzune. She is completely on Horikita Suzune's side. So what about the second condition of the punishment you want? Kushida-san said as if he had lost his energy. You have to maintain your friendship with Horikita-san while she is in school, Oreki-san said. She's not very popular in the class, so you have to provide support. That is to say. Does she have to push Horikita Suzune's popularity up and then cooperate with her? And this kind of thing. Kushida. What's the meaning? Are you trying to turn me into her dog? Kushida's emotions seemed to be quite intense. I'm not Maesumi Kamuro. Oh. Oreki-san still knows that Kamuro-san and Kushida are also connected. And he is considered a friend by Kushida. And Kamuro also thinks Kushida is pretty good. But in the end, this is how Kamuro-san is viewed in Kushida's heart. Then do you want me to submit this recorder now? Oreki said. Right now, Houtarou in Class C is Honkai, Hirata is beaten, and everyone is in an emotional breakdown, so adding you to the Honkai impact might not attract much attention. What does it mean to not receive much attention? Hirata Houtarou is Hirata Houtarou, and the recorder leaked information that she is a betrayer, and she is even going to take the blame for Houtarou's collapse. So this is not the collapse of Kushida's empire, but the fact that he has become the sinner of the entire class. And Hirata is the kind of person who values harmony between the class and his classmates more than anything else. So really, for the sake of unity, she might be responsible for everything alone. That is to say, to be the one who takes all the blame and takes the blame. And this kind of thing, who wants it? Kushida. You clearly know that I can't refuse. Kushida's aura seemed to have been cut off in half. So what's your third punishment? Kushida said again. It should be relatively simple for you, Oreki-san said. I commissioned Horikita-san to take some photos of girls before, but in order not to be a bad person, I deleted the photos. And I don't care. But I still want to take a look. I want to take a look. Hee. In private contact with Oreki, Kushida is more open-minded than what appears on the surface. Certainly. This didn't mean that she had to be naked in front of him. She still has shame. And it's more of a revenge for the man who robbed Horikita. But now his claim is to get naked photos of her. And she had to take a selfie herself. Let's not even talk about the explosion of shame. At the same time, if she really does this, then she not only takes the initiative to hand over evidence, but also means that she can only be bound to this man in the future. Grass. The break time passed quickly, and the students quickly got into their places. Because the recommendation project has started. There are only 4 projects in the afternoon. Borrowing items competition. 11 tug of war in all directions. 12 mixed men and women, 2 persons and 3 legs. Grade 13 joint 1200 meter relay. Oreki-san participated in the mixed 3-legged race for boys and girls, and then there was also the 1200 meter mixed race for the whole grade. The game is played in order. The first thing to start is the borrowing competition. Compared to the intense competition in the morning, the competition in the afternoon was a little more relaxed. Because not all members participated, the number of spectators and students who could watch has also increased. Everyone also discovered some surprising scenes. That's how hard first graders work. For example, here is Class C, first grade. In Class C of the first grade, Ken Seudo, who was so dazzling in the morning 100-meter race, 200-meter race, and even the hurdle race, is not there. But the students in his class work hard. It's girls who work hard. There was a girl who participated in 2 borrowing competitions in a row. Then I participated in 2 more tug-of-war games. Very hard work. Kusita-kun, you're working really hard. It's just that, she spent a lot of points for playing as a substitute. I always feel like she became fierce for a moment. No, you saw it wrong. By the way, do we have to work harder like this? There is a very hard-working girl in Class C. This gave the class, which was in a bad situation due to Horikita's injury, Seudo's departure, and Hirata's beating by Seudo, a little more combat power. There are also surprising scenes in other classes. For example, here is Class D, first grade. Come on dash.